All right, let's look at Tier 3, led by Ladd McConkey. This is a very deep group, so we will have quite a few players to go through here. Of course, McConkey and T. Higgins at the top. The high variance situation in Tirico, a guy that's typically in Tier 1 and obviously had a really tough year for a lot of situations. JSN, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., Mike Evans, T-Mac, Tirico, McMillan, and Xavier Worthy. Matthew, who's the lowest ranked player from this group that you're comfortable as your wide receiver one? Say you started the draft and you go, okay, I actually just want 2 running backs out of the gate, or I took a running back in Brock Bowers. Who would you look at in this group?
I think Mike Evans is the guy. Maybe Tirico and McMillan, but Mike Evans is the guy that I definitely feel the most confident in terms of, like, if you get down this far, as you sort of see it there on your screen, but whether it's McConkey, Higgins, Tyreek Hill, JSN, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., and then Mike Evans, who has not averaged below 15 fantasy points in a game since 2017. Like, there's just such a high floor there. And again, it's weird for a team that a month and a half ago we were talking about, wow, they got a lot of mouths to feed. Chris Godwin's going to miss at least the first 4 games, and it might be more. Jalen McMillan's going to miss like half the season, if not longer. And so all of a sudden, one of the best offenses in football, which we talk about with the Buccaneers all the time, has, again, a very narrow target tree, right? It's the running backs, it's Evans, and it's Emeka Egbuka. And so Evans, I would feel very good about as my number 1 wide receiver, assuming, like, again, I've gone running back, or I grabbed a tight end with one of the first couple of picks along with a running back. But that's about as low as I'd want to go in Tier 3. Then you start getting into some question marks.
Yeah, I think you have to go for volume shooting of multiple of these guys. We went through the first part of Tier 3. There's a Part 2 that includes after Mike Evans and T-Mac and Worthy, Cortland Sutton.
Yeah.
DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, George Pickens, Terry McLaurin now under contract, which is a very good feeling for Commanders fans and for all of us in fantasy. Devontae Smith, Jamison Williams.
Yeah, look, and a lot of these guys are on the love list. A lot of these guys I'm really excited about in terms of their upside and having them as a wide receiver too. Cortland Sutton was a top 10 wide receiver over his final 10 games from week 10 on. He's been getting a massive target share in preseason with Bo Nix. I think Sutton's going to have a big year. We've talked about Calvin Ridley, same thing, massive target share. But again, there's just some questions there in terms of Peyton's offense runs. Cam Ward, we think he's going to be good, but who knows? As well, McLaurin has Debo to deal with. Pickens has CeeDee Lamb, obviously. Jamison Williams has Amon-Ra and Laporta. You know, DJ Moore, we talked yesterday about how Rome Odunze is getting a lot of looks from Caleb Williams in the preseason. So, again, all those guys, like, I really like as my wide receiver too, especially like sort of Sutton, Moore, Ridley, Pickens. Like, all that list right there is, you know, I think huge upside, Jamison Williams. But I'm nervous about any of them as going in with my wide receiver 1.
Yeah. One guy across this 2 parts of Tier 3 that I'm just not drafting at all now is Tyreek Hill. I'm just out on Tyreek. Nate Tice did a great breakdown on his podcast, Football 301, about Tyreek's, his next-gen stats speed metrics, that if you look a little bit there, because he was still hitting the same top speed occasionally, but just like the consistency of his speed just fell off a cliff. Like, he just wasn't the same guy athletically last year, and we know Tyreek Hill, pretty dependent on his speed. Sure. He can still be useful if he drops off a little bit, but I think the wide receiver 1 type stuff, I think that's probably gone.
Yeah, although I would argue the counter to that is that, again,
he wasn't trying.
What?
He wasn't trying.
No. I think the counter to that is that all those concerns are baked into his price.
Sure.
This is a guy a year ago that was going as a top 5 overall pick, and now he's going like in the 4th, 5th round. And so again, it's an offense that we like as long as Tua's healthy, and it's him and Waddle and Achane. So while he may not have the long breakaway 80-yard touchdowns, I do think McDaniel is a really good play caller and will scheme him open and try to find ways to get him into space. And so, you know, maybe he gets caught from behind by a safety, whereas a year or 2 ago he wouldn't have been. But I still think there's a scenario where he's a productive fantasy player this year, because, again, it's baked into his ADP currently, those concerns, which I think are legit.
Sure. We're going to get into him in the next tier, but I think there's a very good chance that Jalen Waddle outproduces Tyreek Hill this year.
Nicholas Lombardo in the comments, Scary Terry needs to be moved up. What do you think of that, Matthew? You a little nervous about the late arrival? Could be a slow start?
I'm nervous about the late arrival. I'm nervous about Debo Samuel being there. I'm nervous about the fact that, like, last year was an outlier for him in terms of his touchdowns. He's always been like a 4 touchdown a year guy. And then last year he has double-digit touchdowns. Now, I get it. Jaden Daniels is like miles a universe removed from all the other quarterbacks that Terry McLaurin has had. But I'm just saying, like, he's not a huge. He just traditionally throughout his career, he's never been a huge red zone target. Never been a big touchdown scorer. They've got Ertz there. They've got Debo that they can be creative with. They've obviously got the two running backs as well. Jaden's always a threat to run it himself. So I just, if he regresses in the touchdowns and he's like closer to like 6 or 7, which I think is reasonable, even 8, maybe. So I actually think I might be a little bit too high on McLaurin, that I'm wearing my burgundy and gold glasses and that I need to like take them off and be like, all right.
I think it
might move him a couple spots down.
Might be a slowish start, and they've got a tougher schedule this year. But I think Connor ultimately, he plays with Jaden Daniels. Right. I think he's a top 5 quarterback, and he's the only guy in that receiver room who I feel good about in man coverage. Like Debo's gonna be great, beating zone, but like McLaurin, if you need a guy to win, he's still the guy.
Yeah, I'd argue that his targets go up this year. He had 117 last year, which was down from the 132 previously. But I agree with Matthew. The 4 previous years, he averaged 4.5 touchdowns. Yeah. It was 4, 5, 5, 4. And then you go up to 13. So natural regression there, and that's okay. The offense will probably still be great, but that's a big part of this value from last year.
If he gets 8 touchdowns this year, which would be a double over his career average prior to last year, still a great year, but not the 13 you got from him last year, where he was flirting with top 10-ish production. So that's just my concern on McLaurin, who I love, and I'm thrilled that he's back with the Commanders. I think it's great for Jaden Daniels, great for my Washington team. Hail Commanders, hail victory. But, just, yeah.
Sad to see. Sad to see this, Matthew. Turning you back.
I'm just
Terry.
When things got good.
Too high on him, you say. Unbelievable.
Screw you guys.
Things finally got good, and you leave now?
Hey, no. Screw you guys and screw the regulars, because, all I do is hang on. All I do is get accused of being a homer. All I do is getting accused of being a homer on this show, and then when I actually when I'm not a homer, you guys bail on me for not being homer enough.
Yeah. I think McLaurin is. I just think that I want shares of this Washington offense.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think the way you're a homer because you think they win the Super Bowl, defense will go over. The defense is not going to be good. The offense though is going to be amazing. Jaden Daniels will not fail if he stays healthy. He will not fail. And McLaurin's still the number 1 guy.
Yeah. The defense will be better than it was.
You heard it here first. All right, Tej on YouTube. Matthew is backstabbing Terry McLaurin. Wow, and screw us? Shaking my head.
Yeah, Tej. Yeah, you're damn right. All you guys accusing me of bailing on my.
How about K. Gemma responding again? Matthew Turncoat Berry.
Wow.
Yeah. Good God. Good God.
Zach Ertz, tight end 3. There you go. How about that? You guys happy about that?
The regulars are standing up for themselves, and I respect that. With that, I think we probably need a break. Enough. But before we do, Big Ten Saturday Night is back live this Saturday on NBC and Peacock. We're kicking this season off from the Big House, New Mexico, at number 14, Michigan. Here comes Saturday Night.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.